The disciples had forgotten to bring bread, except for one loaf they had with them in the boat. "Be careful," Jesus warned them. "Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod." They discussed this with one another and said, "It is because we have no bread." Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked them, "Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see, and ears but fail to hear? And don't you remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up?" 12, they replied. "And when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up?" They answered, 7. He said to them, "Do you still not understand?"
In a world where each day brings new challenges, it's often easy to get lost in the everyday and forget what's truly important. Today, we will focus on a scene that seems like a small, domestic misunderstanding between Jesus and his disciples. Yet it carries a profound message about our spiritual vigilance. We find ourselves in a boat on the turbulent waters of life. The disciples, harried and busy, forgot to bring bread. They had only 1 loaf with them when they should have taken care of supplies for the journey. However, at this moment, Jesus speaks of something entirely different than what the disciples assume, warning them about the leaven of the Pharisees and Herod. And the disciples, well, they think it's about the bread. How often do we, the contemporary disciples, think it's about the bread, about the daily matters, forgetting the deeper message? Jesus, with unmistakable astonishment, asks, "Do you not yet understand?" Let's pause for a moment and consider whether we, having eyes, do not want to see, and having ears, do not want to hear. In our lives, there are plenty of moments when God gives us signs of His presence and care, and we just worry about the bread. This is not a scene about bread and fresh rolls. This is a lesson about our hearts, which so easily become like stale bread, about our eyes, which do not see, and about our ears, which do not hear. Do we remember how many full baskets of leftovers we collected when God was active in our lives? 12, 7. Don't these numbers remind us that in the face of God's generosity, our worries about daily bread are nothing? Do you remember the Israelites when they were crossing the desert? It is spoken of in the 16th chapter of the book of Exodus. Like the disciples, the Israelites had a problem with trust. Even though God sent manna from heaven every day, they complained and doubted His care. This reminds us that our faith should not depend on material supplies but on unceasing trust that God will take care of our needs. Jesus is not talking to the forgetful apostles about physical hunger. He warns against leaven, meaning false teaching, which can poison our hearts and minds. In times when it's so easy to be fooled by various politicians or philosophers, we should practice discernment daily about what is good and what is evil in the light of the gospel. Often we follow the voice of the crowd, forgetting about the voice that should be most important to us, the voice of Jesus. Are we truly vigilant? Can we recognize false teaching and distance ourselves from it? Are our hearts open to the true message that continually flows to us from the gospel? The Apostle Paul, in the 4th chapter of the letter to the Ephesians, encourages us not to be children, tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. This reminder is that maturity in faith requires constant pursuit of the truth, to not be deceived by false doctrines or profit-seeking prophets. Let this story be a reminder to us that life is about more than just bread. Let this baker-mariner tale encourage us to spiritual vigilance. God's signs are present in our life. We just need to open our eyes wider. In this lies true wisdom, understanding that when we have God, we have everything. May God bless us all. Amen.